You know how when you're scrolling through TikTok, you come across these videos that are so captivating, you just have to pause whatever you're doing to watch them? And sometimes those videos can go for a little bit too long, but you still want to see what happens at the end of it all. Well, today, we're going to be doing something similar. We're going to talk about creation because you can't get much more captivating than that. It's me. This is my channel, and this is Bible Basics. Let's jump into it. Okay. So right off the bat, we got to address the elephant in the room or maybe the dinosaur in the garden. How do we talk about such a massive topic in only 6 minutes? To be honest with you, we can't. There is no way we're really going to be able to go deep into every single aspect of creation in only 6 minutes. So instead, I really want to focus on one particular part of Genesis that I think most people do and consider all that interesting. However, if you think about it long enough, it might just be the most interesting part of the entire book. And here it is. Genesis chapter 1 verse 14. Then God said, "Let there be some lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night and to separate the light from the darkness." In our modern context, when we hear this passage read out loud, we tend to read it like it's just a simple fact. Like obviously, the earth needed some lights, so God just went ahead and put them up there. But what if I told you there was actually quite a bit more to this passage than meets the eye? I mean, imagine for a second that you're back in the ancient world and someone says to you, "Hey, did you hear? Someone special is coming to town? He's a pretty big deal. I heard he created the entire world." And then when that person comes to town, they start talking to you about their creation. And the first thing they tell you is that they put some lights up in the sky to help with the whole day and night thing. Now, I don't know about you, but if someone claimed they were responsible for creating the world, but the best example they could give me was that they put some lights in the sky, I'd probably be left feeling pretty unimpressed. I would want to hear about something a little more spectacular than that. But also, why does the world even need lights? I mean, if the sun is giving off light, why does the earth need any more lights? And if the moon and stars are reflecting the light of the sun, why would God bother putting them up there in the first place? If you're thinking these questions right now, then let me tell you, you are definitely not alone. In fact, you're right on the same page as a guy named Job who asked the exact same thing centuries ago. He said, "What are the stars and the creatures of the heavens that you have made? What is man that you should be mindful of him? And the son of man that you should visit him?" The point is, when we read Genesis chapter 1, we can't just read it as if God was just making light bulbs to screw into the sockets of the sky. There has to be more there than just that. And if you look a little closer, you'll see that there actually is a lot more there. See, throughout human history, almost every culture had some sort of belief system. They believed in some sort of higher power that was responsible for creating the world. However, the majority of creation accounts, stories that tell about how the world began, leave a lot to be desired. Most of them are filled with things like monsters, magic, and mayhem. It's like a cosmic car crash. You don't want to look, but you can't help but sneak a peek. In contrast, Genesis chapter 1 is refreshingly different. When you compare it to other creation accounts of the ancient world, it reads almost scientifically. I mean, if you replace the word God with the word nature, you could almost pass this chapter off as some sort of scientific textbook. But that's exactly the point. See, the Genesis account of creation is unique in comparison to other creation accounts. Because it separates God from his creation. A lot of creation accounts from the ancient world had the creator God involved in the creation process. In other words, the gods were creating the world by getting their hands dirty. But the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob wasn't like that. No, he didn't need to get his hands dirty, because creation was simply a matter of speaking. God spoke, and it happened. Take a look at Genesis chapter 1, verses 3 to 9. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so! And God made the dry land appear, and lo, it was good. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And he saw that it was good. Then God said, Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it was so. Notice how many times it says, and it was so? That phrase is used 10 times in this chapter alone, and it shows us that creation was nothing more than God speaking the world into existence. So when God made the lights in the firmament of the heavens, he wasn't just putting in light bulbs to make the world habitable. He was actually separating the heavenlies from the earth. In other words, God placed the sun, the moon, and the stars there to remind us that we are limited by space and time. Because without them, we wouldn't have a frame of reference to determine how far away something is or how long it has been since something happened. I mean, think about it. Without the sun, how would we know where we are in relation to other parts of the earth? And without the moon and the stars, how would we know where we are in relation to time? God put those lights in the sky to remind us that we're limited. And if we're limited, then there has to be a God who's not. The more you think about it, the more you realize that God's creative power is beyond our comprehension. I mean, just think about that. Everything you see, everything you feel, and everything you experience was created by an all-powerful God who doesn't need to get his hands dirty. In our modern context, we re-tempted to think that science and technology has advanced so much that the Genesis creation account is UND relevant anymore. But I would challenge you to think again, because when you think about the God who created the world, who was able to put lights in the sky to separate the earth from himself, suddenly he doesn't seem so far removed from us. And that's kind of the point. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob wants us to remember that though he is all-powerful, he's not too good or too great to relate to us on our level. In fact, he desires nothing more than to have a relationship with us. Think about that for a second. An all-powerful God who created the world, who was able to put lights in the sky to separate the earth from himself, desires nothing more than to have a relationship with us. So if you've never done so before, I would encourage you to accept God's invitation and begin a relationship with him today. And if you'd like to take a deeper dive into the book of Genesis, we've actually done a full series on it. Check it out. Also, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any of our videos. I'll see you next time!